Survivor Series season has arrived, so this month I'm going to cover classic Survivor Series shows. So in this installment, I'm going to review the very first Survivor Series event from 1987 at the Richfield Coliseum in Richfield, Ohio on the 26th of November 1987. The attendance for the show was 21,300 and the pay-per-view buy rate for the very first Survivor Series is a 325,000 pay-per-view buys. At this point, the World Wrestling Federation started to expand their pay-per-views because the last few years they did the very first 3 WrestleManias. They did big events and Wrestling Classic in 85 and 86, but those shows didn't do well. They did the very first Survivor Series I'm talking about right now, Royal Rumble, the first one on the USA Network in 88, and the first one on pay-per-view in 89. The very first SummerSlam event in 88, I just covered it this past summer. And then in 93, they did the very first King of the Ring pay-per-view. I covered that pay-per-view months ago, I think it was in the spring. It'll be the formation of the Big 4/Big 5 pay-per-views for the Federation in the next couple of years. Anyway, the commentators for the very first Survivor Series are Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura. The first match to kick off the very first Survivor Series, we've got the very first Survivor Series match. We've got Team Macho Man versus Team Honky Tonk Man. So representing Team Macho or Team Macho Man. I call it Team Macho. Anyway, representing that team, we've got Macho Man Randy Savage, Jake the Snake Roberts, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Brutus the Barber's Beefcake, and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And representing Team Honky Tonk Man, we got at the time the IC champion Honky Tonk Man, Hercules, Dangerous Danny Davis, Ron Bass, and Harley Race. So the storyline is that this is Randy Savage's first pay-per-view as a babyface since debuting for the company in the summer of 1985. He challenged the Honky Tonk Man to a match for the IC title belt on the 3rd of October's episode of Main Event. It ended a DQ by the Hart Foundation. This was the same night the formation of the Mega Powers. Because the reason why he challenged Honky Tonk Man to a match for the IC title belt, because Honky basically proclaiming that he's the greatest intercontinental champion of all time. And it's kind of true because he held the belt until Warrior beat him at the very first SummerSlam event in 88. And also Honky was also feuding with Jake the Snake Roberts because he attacked Jake on his segment because Jake used to do a segment called the Snake Pit. Honky kind of hit Jake with the guitar. And Ricky feuded with Honky in the summer because, Steamboat defeat Savage for the IC title belt at WrestleMania 3. And then months later, he dropped the belt to the Honky Tonk Man on an episode, I think it called Superstars of Wrestling. And also, this is Jim Duggan's first pay-per-view match because he debuted at WrestleMania 3. And he nearly got fired in the spring of that year, really in May of that year, because he got arrested because he did a DOI. He was with the Iron Sheik. I'm guessing he was feuding with the Iron Sheik at the time. I think Sheik got fired. He came back years later, as Colonel Mustafa. He's basically Sergeant Slaughter's lackey. That's another story for another time. So he came. He's not fired, Jim Duggan. He's feuding with recent feuding with Harley Race. He's doing the King gimmick. Anyway, so the match was decent. The first person got eliminated. Actually, it was Jim Duggan and Harley Race because they got themselves eliminated. They were brawling. It's furthering up the rivalry between Duggan and Harley Race. Duggan went on to win the very first Royal Rumble match in 2 months later in '88. And then the next person got eliminated was Ron Bass. He got eliminated by Bruce Beefcake with a flying knee. Then Beefcake got eliminated by the Honky Tonk Man. He hit I think it was a swinging net breaker. Then it was who's got eliminated for it wasn't Steamboat. I think it was Hercules. I think it was Hercules. Yeah, Hercules got eliminated by Jake the Snake Roberts got eliminated Danny Davis. Sorry, Jake hit the DDT onto Danny Davis, and then I think it was Hercules eliminated Jake the Snake Roberts. I think it was a clothesline. I think. And then Hercules got eliminated by Randy Savage with a diving elbow, and then Honky Tonk Man kind of walked out of the ring, and then he got himself counted out. So Team Macho Man got the victory. The sole survivors are, I think it was Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat. And also they continued the rivalry between Savage and Steamboat. Not Savage and Steamboat. Savage and Honky Tonk Man, because they had the rematch. Unfortunately, Savage was unsuccessful of regaining the IC title belt from Honky Tonk Man. Like I said, Honky will hold the belt until the very first SummerSlam event. And then really funny, a year later for the Macho Man, he will become winning his first title the following year in '88 at WrestleMania 4. Anyway, moving on to the next Survivor Series match, we got Team Moolah versus Team Sherry. Representing Team Moolah, we got the Fabulous Moolah, Rockin' Robin, Velvet McIntyre, and the Angel Bombshell. That is, I'm gonna butcher these women's name. Itsuki Yamasaki and Norio Tateno. And representing Team Sherry, we got Sensational Sherry, Dawn Marie Johnson, not Dawn Marie, from ECW, Hot Dawn Marie. This is a different Dawn Marie. Dawn Marie Johnson, like I said a couple seconds ago. Donna Cristanello, man, I'm butchering these women's names very badly. And the Glamour Girls, that is Judy Martin and Liane Kai. The story is that Sherry defeated Moolah for the women's belt the previous year in 1986. And also, because Sherry entered this match as the women's champion. And also you had the Glamour Girls, Martin and Liane Kai. They entered the show as the women's tag team champions. I'll explain a little bit later. Anyway, the Angel Bombshells, they come from Japan. They did well in the Joshi scene, the Japanese wrestling scene. I think they were former women's champions in the Japanese wrestling scene. Anyway, the match was good. At this point, it was forgettable in the 80s of the women's wrestling scene. It wasn't big compared right now. The biggest really name in women's wrestling at the time was the Fabulous Moolah. Sherry, I think she was a wrestler, she later became a manager. Anyway, so the first person got eliminated was Donna Cristanello. She got eliminated by Velvet McIntyre, and she was the first Irish wrestler. I think she signed with the company. This was decades before Becky Lynch. She eliminated Cristanello with a victory roll-up. Then it was Rockin' Robin eliminated Dawn Marie Johnson with I think it was a crossbody. And then Sherry eliminated Rockin' Robin. And then I think it was Judy Martin eliminated Fabulous Moolah with a double clothesline. And then McIntyre eliminated, I think it was Sensational Sherry. She hit like a victory roll-up off the top rope, and then I think it was Martin or Kai eliminated McIntyre with an electric. Really, she countered the victory roll up with an electric chair drop, and then the Japanese woman Yamasaki and Tadeno eliminate the Glamour Girls. One hit like a clothesline off the top rope, and one eliminated the other member of Glamour Girls with a flying clothesline off the top rope to win this match for Team Moolah. And also they end up feuding with the Glamour Girls for the WWF Tag Team titles. The Japanese girls, the Angel Bombshell, they won the tag team belts from the Glamour Girls at the very first Royal Rumble event in '88. And they had the whole book in '88. They ended up feuding for the tag team title belts. And then I think the Glamour Girls won the titles back in '89, and then before the tag team titles were disbanded until they brought it back 30 years later at the Elimination Chamber of 2019. Like I said, and for me, in my opinion, this is match of the night. The wrestling was, I think it was good because you got one or two good workers. You know, because women's wrestling was not big in the 80s because it got better in the next couple of decades in the 2000s, a little bit in the 90s, but it's more tits and ass in the 90s, 2000s. Because right now, women's wrestling is better compared 30 years ago. So moving on to the next Survivor Series match, we got Team Strikeforce versus Team Heart Foundation. Representing Team Strikeforce, we got the tag team champions at the time. That's the Strikeforce. That is Rick Martel and Tito Santana, because they formed this tag team in the summer of '87 because basically had the Islanders beat down Rick Martel. Santana came to the rescue. They defeat the Heart Foundation a month before the show. I'll explain more a little bit later on. You got the Strikeforce, you got the British Bulldogs, that is Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid. The Killer Bees, that is Brian B. Blair and Jim Brazuzzo. That's his name. And the Young Stallions, that is Jim Powers and Paul Roma. Paul Roma is more associated in the WCW portion in the 80s and also early 90s. He teamed up with Arn Anderson. Anyway, and representing Team Heart Foundation is the Heart Foundation. That is Bret Hart, Jim the Anthem Neidhart. Demolition, that is Axe and Smash. Dream Team, that is Dino Bravo and Greg Valentine. The Islanders, that is Haku and Tamu. And then the Bolsheviks, that is Nikolai Volkov and Boris Zukov. So Strikeforce was feuding both the Islanders and the Heart Foundation. So anyway, and also the Rushos. The Rushos represent Team Strikeforce. Anyway, so the first team got eliminated was the Bolsheviks. Santana eliminated Boris Zukov with a flying forearm. Then the Rushos got eliminated by Demolition. I'm guessing it was Jacques or Raymond trying to hit a move. I think it was a crossbody, but I think it was Axe or Smash. I think it was Axe eliminated I think it's Jacques or Raymond. And then Demolition got themselves eliminated because they refused to answer the 5 count because they did like a move choking. I think it was Bulldog or I think it was not Bulldog. I think it was Davey Boy or Dynamite Kid in the ropes. So that was a bit bummer. And then I think it was the Bulldogs got eliminated by the Islanders. I think it was Haku throat kicked Dynamite Kid in the throat. And then before that you had the Strikeforce got eliminated by the Heart Foundation because basically had Neidhart. Basically Bret broke up the pinfall because Santana hit Neidhart with a flying forearm. Bret, broke up the pinfall. Neidhart pinned Tito Santana, so the tag team champions are out of this match. Then you got the Dream Team. I think it was Paul Roma or Jim Powers eliminated Greg Valentine with a sunflake roll up. The final two are the Islanders and the Killer Bees. The Killer Bees got the victory. They hit like a sunflake powerbomb. I think it was onto Haku or one member of the Islanders to win this match. And they were in fucking B-Mass. And this is one problem about this tag team match. That was not that good because actually it was good, it was okay, but the problem is you got tag teams are not really getting over. It was 10 on 10. Why they did that, this match dragged about nearly 40 minutes. It wasn't really a boring match. It was, like I said, an okay match, but I think like the wrong tag teams got over because the best tag teams at the time were the Bulldogs, Demolition, Heart Foundation, and kind of the Strikeforce. And then you got like crappy tag teams like the Killer Bees. I think like the the Dream Team. I think they're kind of past their peak. Young Stallions never really got one whiff of the tag team belts. I feel like Paul Roma really got over. I think he was a tag team champion in WCW. But and the Islanders, I'm not a big fan of Haku. He's fucking shit. You know. And Rushos, yeah, they were later on become heels because they kicked off the very first SummerSlam event against the Bulldogs. You know, go and check my 1988 SummerSlam review. I covered it, like I said, I covered it this past summer. So anyway, the Strike Force continue to feud with the Islanders and the Hart Foundation. They had the rematch with the Hart Foundation. I think it was a steel cage match, probably on a episode of with it. I think it was on Superstars. They had a rematch for the tag team belts, and then Demolition feud with the Strike Force because at this point they changed because the Hart Foundation were the top heels at the time. Unfortunately, they later on turned babyface, and then Demolition turned heel. They become the next top heel tag team at the time, and they defeat the Strike Force for the tag team titles at WrestleMania 4. And by the way, here's a fun trivia. This is on the same night as Starrcade '87, so they're competing with Jim Crockett Promotion at the time. Moving on to the main event of the very first Survivor Series, we've got the final Survivor Series match of the show. We've got Team Hogan versus Team Andre. Representing Team Hogan, we've got the World Wrestling Federation Champion Hulk Hogan at the time, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, Bam Bam Bigelow, Ken Patera, and Don Morocco. At the time, he was dubbed as The Rock Don Morocco. This is 10 years before Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Representing Team Andre, we got Andre the Giant, Ravishing Rick Rude making his WWF pay-per-view appearance, King Kong Bundy, One Man Gang, The Future, African Dream, Akeem, that was a bad gimmick, and Butch Reed. Butch Reed is more associated with the territory areas and NWA/WCW. This is years before he was in a tag team called Doom with Ron Simmons. So the build up to this main event, Hogan and Andre still continue feuding. They picked up what they left off at WrestleMania 3 when Hogan body slammed Andre and beat Andre to retain the WWF title at WrestleMania 3 and pick Andre the Giant's first loss for 15 years. So, and also Paul Orndorff ditched Bobby Heenan as his manager. This was on an episode of Primetime Wrestling. Rick Rude is Bobby Heenan's new client. Ken Patera also turned babyface. He was part of the Heenan family. I'm guessing this was WWE's first ever faction. This was like decades before the Nation of Domination and DX. Another story for another time. So yeah, Patera turned on Bobby Heenan, left the Heenan family, and also turning babyface as well was Bam Bam Bigelow. He had heel managers wants Bam Bam Bigelow as his new client, and Bam Bam Bigelow basically turned down the heel managers. He wants Oliver Hipperdink as his manager. So he also turned babyface in the process. Don Morocco was basically the last minute replacement for really the original fifth member for Team Hogan for this match at Survivor Series was Superstar Billy Graham, because he was kind of like feuding with Butch Reed and One Man Gang. And also, yeah, he pulled out this match due to a hip injury. I think One Man Gang injured Billy Graham in the process, so Don Morocco was the last minute replacement for Superstar Billy Graham. Anyway, the match was decent. I think it's a bit better than the previous Survivor Series match from earlier, you know, the Tag Team Survivor Series match, because yeah, it got a lot, really tag teams are not really getting over with stupid gimmicks. Anyway, so the first person got eliminated was Butch Reed. He got eliminated by Hulk Hogan. Hogan hit the leg drop onto Reed. And then you got, I think Ken Patera got eliminated by the One Man Gang. I think he was going to body slam One Man Gang, but he's kind of like too heavy. He's about 500 pounds at the time. But One Man Gang eliminated Ken Patera. Patera was working hurt. I think he's wearing like some, basically some cast on his arm. He got fired 2 times or 3 times because second time he basically thrown like some brick or some object at a window at a McDonald's, and then yeah, he came back in '88, come back at the very first SummerSlam event. Anyway, The next person got eliminated was Rick Rude. I'm guessing like he got I think Orndor. I think it was King Kong Bundy cheap shot. Orndor, and Rick Rude hit. He didn't really hit the Rude Awakening on the show. He kind of rolled up Mr. Wonderful for the elimination, and then Rick Rude got eliminated by, I think it was Bam Bam Bigelow, I think. And then I think it was, who's the next person got eliminated? Don Morocco. Don Morocco, yeah, he eliminated Rick Rude. I think it was a roll up. And then Hogan got himself eliminated. He basically had Bundy attack. Basically, he had Hogan body slams, one man gang, and also he was really brawling with King Kong Bundy because Bundy feuded with Hogan at the previous year's WrestleMania in the steel cage. So Hogan got himself counted out. So and the announcers, not announcers, but the ring announcer Howard Finkel said that if Hogan did not leave the ring, he'll basically give the victory to Andre the Giant's team. So, and then I think Bam Bam Bigelow was the solo man for Hogan's team. He eliminated I think it was King Kong Bundy with a slingshot. It's basically a springboard splash. Oh yeah, by the way, Morocco got eliminated by One Man Gang, with a splash as well. Forgot to mention that. And then Andre got the victory onto Bam Bam Bigelow. Oh, he eliminated One Man Gang as well. I think it was One Man Gang was going for a move off the top rope, but Bam Bam got out of the way. And then Andre the Giant got the victory for his team. He hit Bam Bam Bigelow with I think it was a butterfly suplex to win this match. And really shockingly, the heels managed to win because throughout the whole show, the babyfaces won their Survivor Series matches. It's really shock, and really, and afterwards you got Hogan basically beating down Andre. He basically let the fans leave home happy. But it's not like it's got repaired. The babyfaces got the victory because it got mostly clean sweep. I think the first Survivor Series match it was a clean sweep, and then the next two it's back and forth between a heel or babyfaces got eliminated. So, and Andre got his win back because he lost at WrestleMania 3. He got his win back. It's basically furthering up the rivalry between Hogan and Andre. This is setting up a match on an episode of Main Event. I think it was on the January or February's episode of that show that led to Andre winning the title. I think it was the first world title, first and only time he won the world title. And it was after this clusterfuck of the two double referees. That was the Hebners, Dave and Hebner. And set up the tournament at WrestleMania 4. And set up another rematch at WrestleMania 4. That was led to I think it was a double countout. And then they had set up the main event of the very first SummerSlam, Mega Bucks versus Mega Powers, and that's another story for another time. So anyway, my final rating for the very first Survivor Series 87. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's back and forth between 7 or 6, but this was a good show. Without it, there will never be future events. Like, there will be no debut of The Undertaker, Montreal Screwjob, The Deadly Games, the debut of The Shield, Elimination Chamber. The list goes on and on and on. And also the debut of Scott Steiner. Anyway, so the match of the night for me, surprisingly, was the women's Survivor Series match. Because at this point, it was unknown, but they surprisingly put on a good match. And the opener was good, was decent, same as the main event. Nothing in the bad, and something I put one in the okay. Has to be the tag team elimination match. It was okay, but the wrong tag teams got over. The best tag team at the time got eliminated in the early stages. I think the wrong tag team got over because they were not getting over because they had some stupid gimmicks. I don't want to get into it. And also it was a little bit long if they just cut down the time. And also the tag teams, and that could be in the good, but it has to do with the okay. So Anyway, so that's my review of Survivor Series 1987. I hope you like it. Leave your thoughts on the comment section below, smash the like button, and subscribe to the Central Man Network on YouTube. Next time, still keeping the Survivor Series train going. This month marks really a 30-year anniversary of a legend because he retired early this year. I'm talking about The Undertaker. The next Survivor Series, I'm traveling 3 years into the future. One man making his debut, and I'm talking about Survivor Series 1990, the debut of The Undertaker, and one of the worst debuts, the Gobbledygooker. You have to wait until next week. So, this is the Central Man officially signing out. Check you later.